Good morning. Anybody tired this morning? Besides Angie? Okay, just a few of you. I'm a little tired this morning. Weekends are rough, aren't they? Now, we did this yesterday, and I started off telling a story. It's a legend about Jose Rivera. And I don't know if you've heard about the bandito, the famous bandito Jose Rivera. Very famous in these parts back in the 1800s. Famous because he robbed lots of trains, lots of stagecoaches, lots of pioneers, hoarded up tens of thousands of dollars. And back in those days, that was a lot of money. And the people were fed up. They couldn't capture him. So they appointed a special Texas Ranger to pursue him, if necessary, into Mexico itself. And finally capture, dead or alive, Jose Rivera. So sure enough, after months and months of research and following the trail, followed him to this small little town in Mexico, into a little cantina. And he walks into the cantina, and there's a bartender and two guys at two separate tables drinking beer. Sees a young guy, looks kind of rough, and an old fat guy with a big belly. So he walks up to the young guy, puts his hand on his gun, says, "You Jose Rivera?" And he does his thumb, points over to the other guy. So he walks over to the other guy. Same thing, hand on his gun. "You Jose Rivera?" "No speak it English." So he walks over to the other guy. Said, "You speak English?" "Si, yes, sir." "Will you translate for me?" "Yes, sir." "Come on over here." So he comes over here. He says, "Ask him if he's Jose Rivera, the famous bandit." And so he talks to him in Spanish. And he talks back to him in Spanish, and he talks back to him in English. He says, "Yes, sir, he is Jose Rivera." He says, "Tell Jose Rivera I'm here to take him dead or alive. I'd prefer dead, but if he'll give me the money that he's stolen, I'll let him live." So he goes into Spanish. He says, "The man says he's here to capture you dead or alive. He prefers dead, but if you'll tell him where the money is, he'll let you live." Then Jose Rivera is talking in Spanish for a few minutes, and the ranger's got no idea what he's saying. And he talks back. He says, "Okay, he's hidden the money. Nobody else knows where it is but he alone, and he will tell you where all the loot is if you'll let him live." He says, "Start talking." So Jose Rivera talks to him in Spanish. And he says in Spanish, "Okay, you have to go outside of the cantina for 100 yards till you hit the mesquite tree. Turn right, go 200 more yards, there's a big boulder. Dig down 8 feet, and there's a huge chest. Almost everything I stole is in that chest. Nobody else knows where it is." The translator goes, Jose Rivera says, "Go ahead and shoot." See, what we're going to talk about this morning is temptation. In Genesis chapter 3, open up your Bibles, because that's where we'll be. We see the very first temptation in all of human history. You know, the Apostle James said, "Resist the devil, and he will flee." That's what James said. Mae West, famous from the country days out in the West, Mae West said, "I generally avoid temptation, unless, of course, I find it hard to resist." Thing is, people will sometimes resist temptation. They'll resist the devil, but then they'll leave a forwarding address. They'll flee only to kind of keep looking over their shoulders. Because, you know, the things that tempt us, we kind of like them. Let's be honest this morning. Sin can be fun. If it wasn't fun, who'd do it? Right? If sin was like hitting yourself in the head with a brick, we'd give it up fast. Sin can appear to be fun and even be fun for a short while until it latches into you and takes control and ruins your life. So temptation, sometimes we think, yeah, maybe it's not so bad. I'll give in for a little while, and then we're ruined. Genesis chapter 2 and 3, we see the very first temptation. I'm in verses 8 and 9 of Genesis chapter 2, and here's what it says. "Now the Lord God had planted a garden in the east, in Eden, and there he put the man he had formed. And the Lord God made all kinds of trees to grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil." Down to verse 16. "And the Lord God commanded the man, 'You're free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat of it, you will surely die. Chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" And the woman said to the serpent, "We can eat fruit from any tree in the garden, but God did say you must not eat fruit from the tree that's in the middle of the garden. You must not touch it or you will die." So the serpent responds, "You will not surely die," the serpent said to the woman, "for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good from evil." All right, here's the story. God said, don't eat from the tree. The serpent said, did God really say you must not eat from the tree? God said, when you eat it, you will die. Serpent said, you'll surely not die. God said, don't eat from it. Satan said, eat from it. God said, it will hurt you. It'll kill you. Serpent said, it will bless you. So Eve's sitting there, kind of like the angel and the devil, one on each shoulder. Oh, God said don't do it. The devil said do it. So Eve put on her thinking cap. And here's what happened, verse 6. When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it. So here's what happened. Eve used her common sense. She said, you know, it looks tasty. It's pleasing to the eye. It's edible. It's not like covered with spines. It's not poisonous. It can make me wise. What's not to like? I'll have some. She used common sense, and she totally disregarded divine sense. She used her own judgment over and against God's judgment. I can tell you this. There was another tree, the tree of life. They could have eaten from that one. Adam and Eve could have lived forever. They're dead. They died. God said, you eat from that tree, you will die. Guess what? They're dead. Satan said, oh, it'll make you wise. You'll know good and evil. Oh, they know evil, all right. They done lived it. They're not feeling good about it, I can tell you that. Eve was tempted, and she fell. What are you going to do when you're tempted? I'm going to give you 4 steps, 4 strategies this morning on how to deal with temptation. Specifically, how to make wise decisions, because that's really what it came down to. Eve had a decision to make. She made a foolish decision. And it didn't just kill Adam and Eve. Listen to what the Bible says. By one man, sin entered the world. Because of Adam's choice, sin came into our universe. And death by sin. Everyone who has ever died, died because Adam brought death into our universe. God made everything good. There didn't need to be death. By one man, sin entered the world, and death by sin. And so death passed upon everyone. We'll all die because all will sin. All have sinned. What is the ramification of one stupid decision? Well, for Adam and Eve, it was every piece of suffering that's ever happened in the universe ever since. What are the ramifications of your decisions? Maybe you won't know. But I can tell you this, you throw a rock in the lake, those ripples go out, they affect things. There's this thing about chaos theory that scientists are messing with. And they say if a butterfly flaps its wings in Uganda, there can be a hurricane in Mississippi or whatever. I don't know. I doubt it. But they say you never know what one thing can set off a chain of events to make something else happen. So what happens when we do something that we know is wrong? Oh, nobody's going to get hurt from it. We're going to see in a few minutes that that's not necessarily the case.